freaking holiday and all that bull honky. Yeah, forgive me if I'm not in the most festive mood. It's just, I really thought I could avoid this. I really did. But I guess 11 years in, this eventually could no longer be avoided. And we must finally take on one of the most infamous titles in television history. Brady. Let's be upfront and frank here. Does anyone nowadays even like the Brady Bunch? Unironically, I mean. You want to know the ultimate irony of this show? Sherwood Schwartz created it for ABC because he vowed to never again work for CBS after they canceled Gilligan's Island. But because the Brady Bunch was co-produced by Paramount, it and the whole franchise now belong to CBS. On the surface, it looks like the ultimate example of the good old days and the wonderfulness of the old-fashioned nuclear family. In the years since it hit the airwaves, however, it may as well be an example of why couples should start using birth control after the second spawn. The jokes about how trite and saccharine and ridiculous and annoying the episodes and characters can get have already been spoken by others in such detail that I could probably make a video from other people's footage if I was really lazy and dishonest. Sadly for me, I am not. But it just might be apropos that I conclude this year with something like this, because this was, for all intents, the original franchise that got bled drier than an entire busload of blondes trapped in Transylvania. Even if you disregard all the ridiculous copycats like Eight is Enough and the Partridge Family, just how many spin-offs has the original bred? First, there was the failed pilot for a spin-off starring Ken Barry as a neighbor of the Bradys, caring for 3 interracial adopted kids that never took off. Then came the animated series about the Brady kids, the 1-hour variety special produced by Sid and Marty Krofft, and the 1981 reunion movie that did lead to a sequel series that lasted all of 7 episodes. And that was just what was made into the 1980s, capped off with what we have for you today. So get your spiked eggnog ready as we look at A Very Brady Christmas. We start with, oh, good night, kill me now!
A lovely lady who was bringing up 3 very lovely girls. All of them had hair of gold, like their mother.
Let's just say there's a reason this didn't make my list of greatest theme songs. Yep, the movie starts with reusing the original title sequence, audio and video, before just pasting over the end with a new title card, followed by the showing of the whole cast now aged up.
We became the Brady Bunch.
Way to show right off the bat that this thing had no budget whatsoever. I am so looking forward to whatever is to come. So we open with Mike and Carol Brady competing with one another on exercise bikes that they got each other last Christmas, while trying to guess what they're going to get each other this holiday. And right off the bat, I just cannot get over these styles they're now going with. Carol now looks like a dead ringer for the mom on Small Wonder. And Mike? Who told you the 70s porn star look was a good idea, especially at your age now? Need I remind you this movie premiered in 1988. Anyway, the whole thing is that Carol refuses to tell Mike just what her present to him is. She'll just tell everyone else in the family. And guess what? The present is a whole trip to Greece. And we're not even finished yet, because it turns out Mike's present to Carol is to send the 2 of them to Japan. Show of hands, who guessed exactly what the plot of this movie was going to be before we even heard the annoying theme song playing again?
Alice, what a happy surprise.
Ah, so Ann Davis read the script. So now we have this additional plot twist less than 10 minutes in, where their old housekeeper Alice just saw her husband leave her for a younger woman, because I guess this was the creator's way of saying they could tackle controversial topics in this franchise. So now she's back to staying in the Brady house, and of course both Mike and Carol each let her in on their own secrets. Oh, that plot point just keep getting thicker. So yeah, the whole plot, at least for the first half, is that the Brady parents are both planning lavish gifts for one another that will conflict with one another, and the kids and Alice are stuck in the middle, not being able to prevent the oncoming disaster, lest they break their promise to not tell the other. And really, what is the real conflict here? You're still two successful people in the freaking 1980s when everyone in suburbia had money coming out everywhere. You don't have the kids running around, so you completely have all the time in the world. What is stopping you from rescheduling everything, taking the trip to Greece one year, and then the trip to Japan the next? Were last-second cancellations that much of a problem back in the 80s? Oh, good night, listen to me. I sound like one of those Zennials on YouTube doing a live reaction to the original Home Alone. Anyway, this whole conflict doesn't really go anywhere, because the next day both Mike and Carol go to the travel agency, and it's here they find out that sure enough, they were both planning surprise trips for one another. We get the obligatory gift of the Magi reference, and where's the insulin already? But yeah, everything is quickly resolved and set up to have a happy holiday after all. One little problem. We're only 15 minutes into the movie! Really, this is already bad story writing. This was the conflict they started the story with, and it doesn't even last as long as it would have had this just been an episode of the TV series. So, what the frack are they gonna do for the rest of the movie? Well, first they're gonna pad about 2 or 3 minutes with a clip show. Okay, it's one clip from a previous episode about some family camping trip they took long ago. And then they just start throwing every possible crisis at every member of the family. Starting with a dispute between Mike's contractor company and his latest client, then revealing that Marcia's husband just got laid off, Jan is leaving her husband, Peter is so frustrated with his job that he started stooping his boss, oh, and Bobby has secretly dropped out of college in order to become a race car driver. Hey, Richard Petty and Dale Earnhardt never even finished high school, so by auto racer standards, Bobby's already got an educational leg up. It's at this point quite a few of you might be asking, what the hell does any of this have to do with Christmas? With all this going on, you might as well have said Mike and Carol had been planning those trips for their anniversary and nothing would have really changed. In fact, given just how lush and green the grass and foliage in the area is for December, even for California, it's almost like this was originally just meant to be a standard reunion movie that the network ended up pushing to be a holiday movie as a ratings trap, and the writers just threw in the holiday setting at the very last moment. I don't think I need to explain that all these crises drag on for much of the remainder of the movie, so I'll try to speed things up here, lest I put you all in a coma through the new year. Of course, Mike and Carol cancel their trip plans in favor of bringing everyone back home for the holidays, making me wonder if someone used this as the basis for their own terrible holiday movie. Though amazingly enough, I don't think they invited Cousin Oliver. I guess this movie did something right. Mike calls in some favors to get Marcia's man a new job, Jan gets back with her man, Bobby admits his racing dreams to the family, and that should be everything, right? Nope! They have to throw in this extreme climax right out of left field where the building Mike was designing collapses in an earthquake because the owner cut too many costs. And when Mike dares go in to save two security guards trapped in the rubble, he then gets buried after an aftershock. Did these writers see the climax to I Dream of Jeannie 15 years later and think we just have to find a way to do that here? Of course, Mike is ultimately rescued from the debris. The family's Christmas dinner is then interrupted by Santa showing up, only to reveal to be Alice's husband coming back to her. The saccharin is so much in this thing it might as well have been sponsored by Sweet and Low. This movie was a wreck. It's a mess of too many plot elements at once, which sadly reminds me of other reunion movies we get in the future. And it's almost like that ending was tacked on because the writers knew just how damn boring the rest of the plot was. Add in whether or not this whole story really even needed to be set during Christmas, and you just get the feeling this thing was thrown together on a network edict as a desperate ratings grab. Especially when you know how much CBS was struggling starting in the late 80s. But instead of spiking interest, it may have well fueled the dark cynicism toward shows like The Brady Bunch. I mean, you think it was just a coincidence that TV creators started making shows that were the polar opposite of the Bradys almost immediately after this thing aired? Yes, Married with Children had premiered a year earlier, but it was almost exactly 1 year later that Simpsons Roasting on an Open Fire premiered, and with that, the dysfunctional family sitcom was off to the races. Even the creators of the Bradys themselves apparently decided enough was enough with the saccharin sweetness, as their next attempt at a revival in 1990, from what I've heard, pretty much turned the series into a primetime soap opera. Spoilers, it only lasted one episode longer than the Brady Brides. But as for this thing, let's just say there's a reason people think of Die Hard among Christmas movies before they think of this, even though this movie tried to be more of a Christmas film than Die Hard. But you know what? At the very least, I can now finally say that this year for TV trash is done, and I'm not going to have to subject myself to anything so god-awful for at least the rest of 2021.